Oh, it says connected to audio. Should be on now. There we go, can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not too bad. Not
Good.
too bad. In these strange times.
Yes, they're very strange times, very bizarre times. Are you in a place that's locked down, or are you in a place that's still able to move around?
So we're still able to move around at the moment, but I'm sure it will all come our way, won't it?
Yeah. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Warwickshire, so not too far from you because you're in Nottingham, are you?
Yeah,
Nottinghamshire.
I'm Nottingham. Yeah.
So you're tier 2?
We're tier 2, yeah. Not that, to be honest with you, I don't really know what it means because I've not been going out anyway. So I'm just I'm off from social media and the news and everything else. I'm just staying at home, really.
I think that's the best thing, is it just get you down, really, doesn't it, otherwise?
I think the news is quite good at making you think, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So I'm kind of like, yeah, you've not said I can like go out and completely do my job normally. So I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing for the time being and see where we go.
Yeah, makes sense.
What about you? How have you and little one been?
Yeah, we're fine. She's just been to doggy daycare today, the first full day. So she's
Okay.
Yeah, she seems okay. So
Okay, as in she's asleep, or?
well, no, she's currently chewing on something. She's teething at the moment. So
Okay.
yeah, so she was teething quite badly last week. So we did have a trip to the vet actually, because she was doing this. She had me up all night one night doing this really weird thing with her mouth. And I wasn't sure whether it was teething. It was like she was chewing gum, or I can't really describe it, but she was constantly like doing something with her mouth. So we went to the vet and she said, oh, she thinks it's because of a teething, but to watch out. And then over the weekend, like 3 of her big teeth came out. So I think she's trying to help force it out.
Yeah, and probably quite a bit uncomfortable, like almost like trying to move it out, as if to say this is not right. What's happening here?
Yeah. So yeah, she seems to be a bit better since then. So yeah.
Okay, so we've got around about an hour ish to have a chat about what's happening, where you were, where you are now, where you want to get to, really. So if there's any issues that you're currently having, I know you mentioned there's some about barking. Did you put on your form?
No, actually, barking is. Yeah, well, yeah. So overall, I must admit, she's really good. She's well behaved. We've kind of mastered most things. I live in an apartment, so toileting sometimes is a bit hit and miss.
Okay.
But sometimes that's more down to me not kind of realizing. So I know the signs when she needs a poo, but sometimes, yeah, you know, when you get carried away with work and stuff, you kind of miss it. So, but other than that, she's great there.
Okay.
Lead walking, she's generally good, and I think it might just be a Daxi trait in that sometimes she'll be like on the way home, she'll be like doing a Usain Bolt trying to get home. Yeah. And it's not always on a way home. It will just be sometimes, but not all the time. And it's like I'd try and stop and stand still and then wait and to start again, but that doesn't seem to make any difference. So it's kind of knowing what's the best thing to kind of approach that.
Okay. And is that just when you're on your way home, or is she doing that anywhere else?
Generally, I'll say on the way home, but occasionally, sometimes if she knows where she is, she'll be a bit like that. But generally, yeah, probably more so on her way home.
Okay. And when she gets home, does she get a treat?
No, she actually, what I'd notice is she goes straight to get some water.
Okay. So it may be that she's using her nose that much that it's making her thirsty. So when they sniff, it makes them thirsty. So if you ever do any scent work, it makes them super thirsty.
Oh, okay. And to be honest, she does particularly like sniffing. So like sometimes she'd rather sniff than get a treat.
Yeah.
So that is, yeah. So that could potentially be it. someone did mention that potentially it's a bit of anxiety, but I didn't really seem to think that was kind of the reason why.
They get a bit like, whoa, I'm going home now. And exactly that's why I asked if she does it anywhere else, because she's doing it when you go into somewhere that she knows where she's going. It's that excitement, opposed to anxiety kind of type of behaviour. So it's more of an excitement, like, oh, I'm going home now. Come on, let's go. And to be honest, we had that quite a lot with Chip, and I actually started. I mean, my neighbours must think I'm absolutely nuts. I started just running home with her, literally as fast as I could, just running home with her, because I was like, well, you know what? Is it really an issue that we're running home? Probably not, because you're already at the end of your walk anyway, and that's where you are going. And then she kind of it just ended up being a bit of a game, and then she was like, oh yeah, right, okay, I don't need to do this anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because when someone said about it being anxious, I kind of know when she is, because she doesn't particularly like the dark. And so when it's dark, I can see her little legs going, and then she's walking really quickly, but that's different to how she's running home. Do you know what I mean? So I can tell then that she's more anxious. So her little legs are going, but she's not running, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So we call it hedgehog legs.
Yeah. It cracks me up. Yeah, it cracks me up.
Yeah, it does as well. We go out in the dark and we're like, look at those legs. They're just like little hedgehog legs.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Yeah,
they're just funny.
Oh, that's good to know then. So maybe try running back with her and then see what happens.
Yeah, and she's in that kind of she's 6 months now, isn't she?
Almost 6 months.
Yeah, so she'll be coming into that strange time where she may be a little bit fearful of things. So she may be going into that kind of second fear stage. She will be going into the adolescent stage. That's a given. So anywhere from 6 months, so you might start seeing behaviours that you didn't see before. So things like increased toileting in the house, and that's about literally going right back to the basics with toileting. So literally set your alarm, take her out, and make sure you're all really consistent with that. It might be sleeping through the night. Obviously, she's just getting those last teeth coming through, so she may be unsettled until they've all come through. So around about 6 months, that's kind of when they're all in there. So maybe 6 to 7 months, because she's just coming up to 6 months. So around that 6 month part age, then all their teeth will be in, but you'll be able to see them when they're all in, and you'll be able to see whether ones are missing as well.
Okay.
Or if she's got a little baby tooth left, then you'll be able to see that one needs to come out. So you'll be able to judge if there's likely to be a setback in sleeping through the night or anything like that. What else? Recall. So recall is always a good giveaway. If we're coming into that adolescent stage, it's more independence. They're just like, oh yeah, I don't need you today, Mum, I'm off. And you'll be like, oh, where are you going? So it's always worth keeping that long line to hand. I know she's been really good off lead as well, hasn't she? From the beginning.
Yeah, generally it's only when there's distractions. She's really sociable with other dogs, so she loves going to say hi to other dogs. So she's fine. If there's other dogs around, it can be a little bit hit and miss, but we've kind of been working on that. So
yeah.
I did think when she had me up all night last week, she barked for the first time when she went into the crate, and I thought, I wonder if this is the start of her going back. But actually it wasn't. After that night she settled well, albeit like you say, I think she's been a little bit unsettled during the night, but not enough to kind of need to get her out or anything. So
as soon as her hormones start kicking in sort of full swing, as soon as she starts coming into that first season, which can be sort of anywhere, I mean, generally speaking, dogs can have a season from 6 months. But generally with the minis, it's more sort of 7 to 9 months, can even be later than that. Sometimes they don't have one at all in the first year. So it's just like signs to look out for that's kind of come in. You may find that she's like a little bit more clingy, or it's just kind of like a little bit how we feel, to be honest. It's a bit like, oh, and then she'll go through like the cycle, and then they bleed for around about 3 weeks, and then sort of to the end of that's when you kind of see and hear them. So they may have like some howling because they're trying to attract a mate in, or you may get other dogs that are howling and barking towards your house or your place that you live.
Okay.
Because they're interested in her. For the first part, she won't be interested. She will want to avoid any dogs at all. And then towards the end part, when she's ready to mate, then she will be very interested. So if you can, then walk her like dead early in the morning, dead late at night, so that there isn't anyone else around, because otherwise the male dogs will go nuts. And like I say, in the beginning she'll be like, oh, get away from me, don't want you anywhere near me. And then towards the end she'll be like, oh, hello, like prancing around. And it's interesting to watch.
Okay.
But yeah, not advised to put her in that situation. So obviously the boys will get really wound up, and then she'll get really, really wound up as well. And it's kind of like, actually, just
what about she has got a friend in the village that we live. He's a Dachshund, actually miniature. He's about a month younger. Would it be better to avoid him as well? Because we walk occasionally together, so avoid him too, even though he's a bit younger.
Yeah, because if he's younger, it doesn't necessarily mean that he can't reproduce. So what you don't want to end up doing is ending up with them being tied together. That would be pretty disastrous.
Okay. And what's the best way to handle her first season with regards to, like, I mean, I know they clean themselves, but some people say that you can put things on and stuff. What's kind of the best way to handle that?
So we just went for like all free and open, really. So we just encouraged her to clean herself, because it's a brand new thing for them. This thing happens and they're like, don't know what this is. So we just kind of like just kept pointing and showing her to kind of lick herself and clean herself. And then she got the hang of it. And to be honest with you, I mean, they're really tiny dogs, and there isn't an awful lot of mess. It does go on for a while, but you kind of sort of get used to it. And if you've got you've got a dark sofa anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But even if you just like putting a blanket or a towel or something onto the settee where they're laying, just in case anything that you kind of miss. Keeping the bedding nice and clean, that will probably need cleaning a lot more frequently than what you normally would. I tend to avoid like putting like the little pants and stuff on, just because they can have, and this isn't to scare you, but it's something to be aware of with a dog, a female that's not spayed. They can get something called pyometra, which is basically an infection in their uterus, which then gets a bit gross, and it's quite a serious condition. So if we're keeping pants on, or like the nappies, if we're keeping them on, it gives bacteria a chance to be able to grow. So it's kind of best to let them just do what they need to do naturally, really.
Okay. Like, I know there's a lot of research which kind of contradicts when's the best time to get them spayed and stuff, but do you have any kind of thoughts on that at an age when to do it? Or
okay, so around about 12 to 18 months. So thinking about that 18-month mark is when they're fully grown. So fully grown with their muscles, their bones will be fully developed by 18 months. Their brains will also be fully developed by 18 months. And if there's going to be any problems, they're going to be before that. So with neutering, so males or females, what I would say is if we can leave it till then, unless it's medical, then leave it till then. Give them a good chance then to actually mature, like the whole lot of them, so body and brain. And then like I say, that any issues, so in terms of the developmental stages, so if you're thinking about the fear stage, so if she goes into a fear stage around about 6 months, that can last up until she's around 14 months. And if we spay at that point, so if we spay while she's in this fear stage, then she will have the potential to stay in that fear stage. So it's really just waiting a little bit longer. And the research behind it is from the Breed Council, the Dachshund Breed Council. So they did some research which suggests that dogs that are neutered early have a higher chance of IVDD.
Right.
And that kind of makes sense if you think about it. So obviously estrogen and testosterone are used for bone mass and construction. And if we take that away early, they've not had that full cycle of it. So it's a bit like females when they get like later on in life, when you have like hysterectomies and stuff, and then you kind of go through menopause, and you might then be more prone to having like osteoporosis or something like that. So your bone density is thinner.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I wasn't planning on doing it anytime soon, but that just gives me a kind of an idea on when to do it. what else? Going back to the walking, the only other thing that she will do sometimes, and it's quite randomly, start chewing my shoelaces.
Okay. And what else is going off around you when she does that?
I haven't noticed anything in particular going on. Sometimes it's as we get inside, I live on the first floor, and we're going up the stairs, she'll do it at that point. Or sometimes it can just be out randomly, and it could be towards the end of the walk or in the middle of the walk. But yeah, it's not all the time, it's only occasionally.
Okay. And how long has that been going on for?
She likes shoelaces and shoes. That's her thing anyway. So she does it at home. So yeah, she'll do it at home when I'm walking around. She likes to grab hold of my slippers and stuff. Sometimes it's for attention, I think, that she knows she gets attention. But yeah, when I'm walking, it's I'm not really sure. And then it's knowing how to kind of, I stop, and then she just lets go. So again, I don't know whether it's an attention thing. I'm not sure.
Okay. And is there anything on your shoes? Have they got any of those like little metal things that click together or anything? Is there anything, or are they just literally tie up pair of shoes?
Just tie up, yeah. She does like to chew those end bits of me trainers.
Okay. So there's a few things. The reason I asked if there was anything else going off is because that would be a like a distraction technique for her to be looking away, looking at your shoes, doing something else. If there was another something, maybe another dog, another person that she didn't want to interact with, so she's making herself look busy so that she doesn't have to interact. That's why I was saying, is there anything else going off around? If that's not the case, then attention, so potentially there. Or if it's happening more recently, it may be a teething. So when she's having like these little spur of pain, and then she's just thinking, whoa, what can I chew, and then she's just going straight for your shoes.
That would make sense. Yeah, she
can probably soothe herself a little bit on those end bits because they're quite hard, and she can get them right in where she needs to.
Yeah, okay, great. One of the biggest concerns that I've got really is that I haven't really left her on her own. So I've got family that help, so she goes here, there and everywhere. So like my sister helps, my mum helps, and she goes to doggy daycare and stuff. So there hasn't been a need to leave her on her own, but I'm conscious that I'm getting to the point now where I can't do things because I haven't left her on my own. And I've done a lot of reading, and I know I need to build it up, but I also know that as soon as she hears that front door go, she's at the door, and she'll sit waiting for me. Even if I just go and take some rubbish to the bin, she'll be sat at the door kind of waiting for me to come back. And I know I've watched one of your videos before, and you said it's about making them relaxed. So it's kind of knowing really how I go about making sure she is in that kind of relaxed state so that I can go out and potentially leave her.
Yeah, so bridging the gap between the video and what I don't say in the video. So when you're starting to leave her, so think about the times inside the house, and I keep saying house, I know you don't live in a house, but inside your home, where you can make space with her. So going right back to, remember the mat training?
Yeah.
Remember the document that you got with the mat training?
Yeah.
That's separation training. Okay, so then you just extend from there. So I think that got you up to kind of the doorway and back again. And it's about giving her little bits of space on her own. So in a night time, so she may be cuddling up to you every night, maybe like one night out of the week, or just for 10 minutes that you pop her into a crate and keep returning her to a crate. So that
you won't go in the she won't go in the crate at all. She'll only go in there at night. In the day, any other point she won't go in there.
Okay. Has she got another bed around?
Yeah, she's got other beds that she'll go in.
Okay. So think about where you are going to want to leave her. So when you do go out and she's going to be on her own, think where you want to leave her. So it may be that you want to leave her in like a hallway, opposed to being in the living room, because if she decides that the settee looks rather tasty one day, you might come home to an exploded sofa. and think about how she's going to feel in. So if you've got a hallway, it might be that you just shut all the doors around, so she's literally got the hallway, or maybe your kitchen where she can go and have a drink, or maybe that she's in the kitchen, and wherever it is, make that place the good place. So if it's the hallway, then have her bed that's accessible in the hallway and start that now. So have that bed there available, ready for her. So she doesn't think, oh, mum's going out, she's moved my bed to the hallway. Yeah. Or mum's going out, she's moved my bed to the kitchen.
Yeah, because she did become quite clever, because sometimes because I have to go up a flight of stairs, I can have to carry a lot from the car. So I would come in, bring her, and then potentially go back. And then I could see that she wouldn't relax because she knows I'm going back downstairs. So she'd almost be hanging around and watching my every move. So I kind of picked up on that. So I stopped going back out immediately because I could sense that she was waiting for me to go.
Yeah.
But I have started to, like, sometimes if I was having a bath and stuff, she'd want to go in there. But I have started to make sure that I give her. I know she's not really a greedy dog, but I've given her a treat that I know she likes. So I have started to kind of introduce that, like making sure she is in a room, because I don't think it's necessarily that she gets separation anxiety, because like I say, she goes to other places. It's more that she's not used to being on her own. I think that's the issue. Okay.
Yeah, and quite often, and so it's more about independence, and it's more about her learning that independence to being alone but away from you at the same time. So there isn't anybody else there to occupy her, so she has to learn to kind of settle herself. So when you're getting up and moving around, so if you were to get up off your sofa now, would she follow you around?
Generally, most of the time she does, although like the other night, at night, probably not so much in the day, that maybe more so at night she'll follow me around. But a couple of nights ago, I said to her stay, and where she was, and she did stay, and then I gave her a treat when I came back to kind of, so I'm trying to start doing that to get her to stay. But generally I would say she probably does follow me around.
Okay, so to teach her the relaxation, so in essence we say relaxation, we actually mean just to bore them silly, so that they just go, I'm not moving, I am not moving again. So the way that we can do this is quite nice and easy for us, and because she's so young, she'll click onto this quite fast. But when you know you need to get up, so for example, if you needed to get up now to go and, I don't know, go and make yourself a cup of tea, then your brain's already told you you're going to be getting up to make a cup of tea. So if you give yourself an extra bit of time and then literally just stand up, she's likely to pop up off the settee and go, oh, I'm coming with you, and then just sit back down again. So you don't need to say anything to her, but literally periodically just stand up and then sit back down. And then if you keep repeating that type of thing, so either standing up and sitting down, or standing up, taking a few steps and then coming to sit back down, she'll be like, where are you going? And then it will be too much effort for her to keep getting up and following you around. She'll be like, you're not going anywhere anyway. And then once you've done that for a couple of weeks, then you can then start walking towards the front door. So hopefully you would have created that you're able to walk this many steps before you can come back again without her actually moving. It's very similar to the mat training, remember that, where it was like one step, come back in, 2 steps, one to the side, moving around. So it may be that you start doing like the different places in your living room. So it might be that you walk over to one wall, it might be that you walk over to your TV, it might be that you walk over to I don't know what you've got, maybe a table, something, whatever it is, and then you start walking towards the door, and then just mix that around so that she doesn't feel this need to keep following you, but she can still see you, she can still watch you. And start going out of the room, coming back in. So go out of the room, fill the kettle up, put the kettle on, then come back in. So each time what you're doing is extending the amount of time that she's being left, but you're just doing it really gradually, that you've got no need to actually leave her. So you're in a really good position, and then start walking towards the front door, open the front door, close it, come back in. Because as soon as that front door goes, because you say she knows the sound of that front door, she'll be like, oh, she's gone. And actually you've not gone anywhere because she's still there.
Okay, that makes sense. Like last night I was trying to get her to kind of settle, and I'd got the jobs to do. So I was purposely going from room to room to kind of bore her, because she could see that actually I wasn't going anywhere. Because I think she could sense, whether sometimes she could sense she needs to go downstairs or go out. I don't know whether she can sense it. So I was purposely not going, and I was just like kind of flitting from one room to another.
Yeah. So you've just turned your video off. I don't know if you know that. Oh, you've gone.
Okay. Somebody called me, and then I hit the button and it ended you by mistake. Apologies.
That's okay. So things like, to create space between you, things like putting your washing in, doing your washing up, hanging your washing out, or doing whatever you do with your washing, hanging on radiators, clothes horses, whatever it is, making your dinner, making a cup of tea, making something, just going and doing something. You can integrate like quite normal stuff, like folding your washing, ironing, whatever it is that you do, like really daily routine things that she's not going to think any more of. And she might come in and have a look and see what you're doing, and then get to the point that she comes in, has a look, and then goes, oh yeah, that's all right, see you later, and then goes and does whatever she wants. That's the ultimate, what you're looking for her to do, is her make that decision to leave your side as well.
Yeah, okay. I was worried, because I thought, oh, have I left it too late and me not leaving her on her own? But I also think that I don't think she was ready for it. So
okay. So your camera, is someone ringing you?
Yeah, again, I've just ended.
No, that's fine.
So that's fine. Yeah. And then so I'll just gradually build up to doing that, to being able to kind of go out, and then so and then just build that up, like go out for 5 minutes and then do it a bit longer.
Yeah, so what you're looking for is that she is able to be on her own. So it may be that you go and do a normal thing in the house without her for 10 minutes. That's your aim that you want to get her to. But to start with, it's just literally going to be those moving around, moving in and out of different rooms, coming back to her. And she doesn't necessarily need to have a treat or anything when you come back, because you're just making it really normal. And it may be that you start doing things like putting your coat on, putting your shoes on, and then going and making a cup of tea and coming and sitting down.
Okay.
So she goes, oh, hang on, you've done all these things that you normally do before you go out of the house, but you've not even left.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe this is just what you do then. So it might feel a bit odd to you to get ready and kind of not leave. So if you think about a working day, and if you were setting your alarm in the morning, you might be, I don't know, going in the shower, going in the bath, getting yourself ready, putting makeup on, whatever it is, your morning routine. And each thing that we do is a cue to our dog to say, we're getting ready to leave the house. And they are very good at picking up on our habits, because that's what they are, is habits, routines. And that can sometimes where they get their knickers in a twist, because they go, oh my God, you've set your alarm, and that must mean that I'm going to be left on my own. But with the training that we've just gone through, then that kind of alleviates that, because there isn't really a particular thing that's going to mean you're going to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with regards to, like you said about almost preparing the area where I'd want her to be left. So would you suggest that having a smaller space is better than like letting her have kind of free roam of everywhere?
Yeah, definitely. So the more access she's got, the more she will potentially feel kind of insecure about it. So there's more, there's potentially more places, for her to not only chew, but for her to get a little bit wound up and have a little cheeky wee here or whatever it is. So if it's a smaller area, so prime example, so where we are, we have a hallway. So we have the porch and then the hallway. Chip's got a crate pretty much underneath the stairs, so she's not in the way. And then when we go out, we shut all the doors. So we shut the downstairs bathroom, we shut the kitchen, we shut the living room, and then she's just got probably, I wouldn't even like to guess, maybe like 8-10 foot of hallway.
Okay.
Probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet wide. It's not massive, but she's got that area. And then we've got a stair gate. Well, you have stairs anyway, but yeah, we've got a stair gate on the bottom of the stairs. So she can't just take herself off upstairs. So yeah, small area. So she has a crate, but obviously if she's not got a crate, then just have your bed there and get her used to being in there. So the way that you could build that up is if you're wanting to leave her maybe in a kitchen, then you would put her bed into the kitchen so that she knows it's there. And a great time to do this is when you're eating your meal. So she's got a Kong.
Yes.
Yeah. So you could, when you get your meal, pop her meal into her Kong and put it into a bed in the kitchen. And if she brings it through to you, then just take the Kong back and put it back onto the bed.
Okay.
You may find you're repeating that quite a lot, so that she learns that she can have it, but she's got to have it onto her bed.
Okay.
And then that becomes a little bit of space between you as well. So you're in one room, put my teeth in, you're in one room, she's in the other room, and that separation, but she's doing something good, so it becomes a positive thing.
Okay, all right, that's really helpful actually. Okay, and then you would just build up me like not going out, do that until I'm happy that there's a good 10 minutes of her being on her own before I then start trying to go out.
Yeah, there's a lot less females that struggle with separation than there is males. They don't know why that is. Yeah, the research just suggests that it's more males that actually suffer from separation, in terms of like true separation cases. And I mean, we just have to look at the figures of the people that I'm working with, and it's predominantly males. In fact, there isn't any females.
Okay, well that's good to know then. Hopefully Dottie's not the exception and she is fine.
And it would probably be more like every dog will have an element of separation in terms of the independent type separation, but like the true stuff. So as soon as as soon as you close the door behind them, they're like screaming at the top of the voices and all that kind of stuff going with it, and they can't be left. Like literally, they'll just injure themselves likely if they're left on their own. But just a little bit of following you around and things like that. And because she's so young, she's got a very good opportunity to be, she's clearly a good little dog. She just needs to have that opportunity to be able to learn that independence.
Yeah, I mean, generally, if I do go out and I'm like, I go to the car and back, she'll just be sat waiting at the door. Sometimes she might cry, sometimes she's not doing anything, and then once or twice she has barked a little bit. But yeah, not anything excessive or anything like that.
Yeah, and sometimes it is going to be that element of human, you've left me.
Yeah.
Did you forget me? Did you forget to take me with you? But she's not experienced being left on her own either. So
no.
What I would say is that obviously it's the same with when we spoke about crate training in the actual training in the puppy classes, when I said that it's about not leaving our puppies to cry. So it's the same goes for separation. So I wouldn't ever leave her to cry.
No.
And the idea is that you help her to be on her own and build her up to that point of being left on her own before you then leave her.
Yeah, and that's why, because I've noticed that she has cried, I haven't really wanted to kind of start it because I didn't really know how to go about it. So that's really helpful now, because I think I'll know now where to kind of start.
Yeah, and it may be even in a morning that you add different ways for her to have her breakfast. So it may be that, does she eat in the kitchen?
Yes, she does. She does, yeah.
So it may be that in a morning that you scatter her food on your kitchen floor so she can find her food. So she's using her nose, she's tiring herself out a little bit while you go and get ready. So she's left in the room that you're wanting her to stay in. And again, she's having a really positive experience by being in there. And you can then build up to closing the kitchen door. So you're having your door half closed so that she can still get in and out. And then after, a couple of weeks, then start closing the door so that she gets used to, well, this is what happens. I have this food chucked all across the floor, which is a great way to have my dinner because I enjoy finding it and using my nose, and it tires me out. And that just means that the door's going to shut, but the door will open again because you will then return.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Talking of food, Dottie is quite fussy with food, and I appreciate she's been teething, so that's kind of a contributing factor for her not eating. But even like like things that I know she likes that she can be quite fussy over. So I did get the sausage sanctuary, and I know that you kind of use that. So we've tried that, and then she was okay with it at first, but then it got to the point where I always have to put something with it now, otherwise she just won't eat it. But then the last few weeks, even the things that she likes, she's still not been eating it. And sometimes she won't go anywhere near a bowl. And then literally I have to hand feed her to kind of encourage her. And eventually she will take it from the bowl most of the time. But sometimes, especially in the morning, I have to kind of hand feed her a little bit.
Okay, perfectly normal, perfectly, age appropriate kind of behavior. So if you think that you've got wobbly teeth and you're crunching biscuits, that's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, I thought
that's going to make her go, that bowl's really painful. That really hurts me. When I take something out of that bowl, it really hurts. But then once she has a couple from you, she's like, well, actually, it tastes all right. Yeah, I can smell them in the bowl. I'll then start eating them. So it could be an element of that.
Okay.
Again, with this fear period looming, it could be that she's a bit worried about the bowl. If the bowl has kind of scared her a bit, if the the food's moved slightly differently how it normally does, that she's gone, oh, I'm not sure about this anymore. It could be an element of that. What I'd say is mix up how she's eaten. Okay, so the scatter feeding is a great way. You don't have to scatter the whole lot on the floor. You can literally just have a piece in your hand and throw it for her to go and get. And then you can build up to like chucking the whole bowl on the floor if you want to do it that way. You could have like a puzzle ball. So what you put the food into. So if it's the dry food that you're putting in, put that in. So she has to nudge it around with her nose to actually get the treats out. So you're making like fun out of the food. She's having to work for the food rather than just saying, here's your bowl of food. Because how many rewards are in that bowl of food? And normally she'd be working for rewards. Normally she'd be doing something that you want her to do to get a reward, but she gets 2 meals or however many she's currently having just popped down in front of her, and she's like, oh well, I'm not really that bothered.
Yeah, she's not. And sometimes even with treats, she'll spit them out. So she is really fussy. But when I took her to the vet last week, they said it is good to try and keep her on some dry food because it's better for their teeth. So I did try. I know that you've said that you use Lily's Kitchen as well. So I did try that with some biscuits last night, and that's the first time that I've actually seen her almost, can't get enough of it. So I might continue with that. Yeah. So do you tend to give Chip both a bit of the dry and a bit of the wet?
Yeah, so we have we get the little tins, I think they're like 150 gram tins, the little like thingy ones. So we have I think we have about 3 or 4 different flavors of that, and we just kind of work them as they go round. So she has a quarter of the tin, and she has like 45 grams of biscuits as well. So she has like both mixed together, or she has her biscuits outside and a meat in a Kong, or she has her biscuits in the roll ball, or she has her biscuits chucked over the kitchen floor.
Okay. That would probably work with the Kong, because I haven't given her like wet food like that before, so that will probably work, and she'll probably enjoy that a bit more, because she did seem to like that. And do you feed Chip 3 times a day?
She's fed twice. She was originally fed 4 times, and then we dropped down to 3, and then we dropped down to 2, and I think she was around about 8 months.
Okay.
When we dropped down to 2, but you kind of know if they're not eating like the middle meal. So when that third meal, so like they'll eat the first one, they'll eat the second one, but then that third one they're kind of like not really that bothered, they'll just have a little bit of it. Then you kind of know, you can sort of gauge where they are. So it may be to start with that rather than having the 2. How many is she on at the moment?
Well, yeah, so she's not really great with breakfast. So generally, I'd probably say she probably has 2, but she'll have something at about midday, and then something at like 5 or 6. Sometimes I'll give her 3. It just depends. I I kind of go by how she is.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. There's no like hard fast rules in terms of feeding. It's really what suits your dog. I mean, if you were to have a 3-course meal every day, 3-course meals every day, you'd soon be like,
yeah,
I think I might just have like a sandwich today.
yeah.
So there's kind of a lot of pressure on owners as well around food. But what I would say is, if it's working for you and it's working for Dottie, then go with it. So we do use combination between the dry food. So we use combination of Lily's and Sausage Dog Sanctuary. So she just has like a mixture of that, and it's really just that variety, because she went through a stage of not eating and sitting on the floor hand feeding, and made it more interesting for her. And she went through the phase where she was like, I just don't want to eat anything, which is normal. They've got these teeth moving around, they've got hormones flying around.
Yeah, okay.
They're going into
so many things to think about.
I know, and it's that thing though, that you don't necessarily think about it until it's there, and you're kind of like, oh, what am I going to do with you now?
Yeah.
And then some people would like change bowls and stuff, because it's the bowl that they've got worried about, and they've like got super bothered about the bowl, because it's, like I say, it might be like a silver line, not a silver lined bowl, but a bowl that's got a reflection in it, and they've managed to see themselves and they've gone, oh, that's scary. They want that to happen again. And it can literally be anything that can kind of scare them a little bit. But then you can also do things like putting a bit of warm water into the food to release the smell a little bit more, so it becomes more smelly, more appetizing. I mean, you wouldn't do that forever, but you'd do that until you'd encourage her to eat more. But if she'll eat, hand feeding's good, and it's a good opportunity to train at the same time. So using a food, doing some training with her, doing some mat work with her, whatever it is, and actually just using that as a treat instead of a quantity of food.
Yeah, sometimes when we go out on our morning walk, sometimes I will give her a breakfast kind of on the walk. So we do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's not very greedy. So sometimes on a walk, she's not even that fussed about getting a treat. So
yeah, and that's absolutely fine. And going back a little bit to the like separation training, like the leaving her wise, thinking of like when's the most suitable time to be leaving her. So it may be that you've been out on your morning walk, and out on that walk it's likely that she'll get quite excited, not over the top excited, but there's going to be stuff in there that she's sniffed, and she's got herself like, this is a great walk. And then when you come home, it's worth having like between sort of 5 and 15 minutes playtime. So not anything too extreme, just like, a little bit of, I don't know, fetch or whatever it is that she enjoys playing, a little bit of sniffing, more sniffing, and then giving her like something calming to do. So whether it's like a cheeky little massage, or whether it's that scatter feeding at that point, so she's then got to use her nose again. So you've then created her, she's built herself up on the walk, but then you've brought her back down to a level that she's able to settle down as well. Because what we don't want to do is just be leaving her when she's kind of not had a walk, not had exercise, not had that burst of energy worn off.
Okay, all makes sense.
Yeah. It seems to be a lot. It's like a lot that we've just gone straight.
I know. No, that's my fault though, rather than talking about one subject. Sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. No, that's what we're here for, to go through whatever it was that you wanted to go through. We're more than happy to. Anything else you can think of?
I think everything else. We're good really at the end. Yeah, the only thing that I feel sometimes is that I am on my own and I work full time, and things are a bit hectic at work at the moment. So I get the guilt about not training her, not practicing the training things all the time. But I'm doing what I can at the end of the day. So
yeah, and that's what I said to you. I think you messaged me and said that, and I said, what, apart from for the last probably 6-8 months, however long it is we've been in this strange situation, I've always worked full time.
Yeah.
Granted, there's 2 of us, but dogs will learn to work around you, and that as long as you've got a routine, and it doesn't have to be the same routine to somebody else. So I used to work nights when I first got Chip, and I'd be out of the house I'd be out of the house at 10 p.m. back at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So having a routine doesn't mean it has to be somebody else's routine. So everyone has a routine, and your dog will fit into that. So Dottie will fit into that routine. You're going out for walks, as long as she's having her exercise, she's having her food, and like, don't put pressure on yourself to do the training. You get 2 great opportunities every day with her meals to actually do a little bit of training. So it may just be like a few minutes, or like in an evening, putting her Kong onto a bed. That's still training.
Yeah.
Still training. You're still doing things with her, and you're still developing her. Yeah. Like, don't beat yourself up if you can't do it every single night. That's
I suppose it's because it's quite overwhelming, because there's so many things that you can train them. It's it's kind of, suppose, working on the things that you want them to do, and not necessarily doing everything, I suppose.
Absolutely. And that's what I would say to everybody. Like, the puppy course, obviously it's there and it's set, and there's some structure there for everybody. So they're kind of like the base level things that, generally speaking, everybody's going to want to use something out of that quite regularly. So your loose lead walking, you're always going to use. Your sitting, you're always going to use. Your weight stays, you're always going to use. And they're just things that will just go into your routine. They're not things that you're necessarily going to train. You're not necessarily going to take a pocket full of treats out and train sit in the house. You might do it when you're out on your walk, but they just come. It comes naturally, and you'll fit like a few minutes in here and there, but it won't necessarily feel like training, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's fine. It's not, Dottie's not being left on her own from like 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. She's got stuff to do. She's being entertained. She's living a best life, really. How much better does she get than that? She's literally going to somebody every single day of the week, and then today she's been to daycare.
Yeah.
A little bit of training, she's had a base level of training. You may need to revisit that training when she starts going into this fear stage. It may be that on walks that she gets a little bit nervy, that she gets a little bit like, oh, who's this dog coming towards us? I've not seen you before. Yeah, she's met him every day of her life.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe that when you start noticing things with her changing, just go right back to the basics, and then fit some time around. So maybe shortening a walk to be able to do a bit of training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good advice.
I try where I can. And it's always that reassurance, isn't it, that there's other people that A, been through it, but B, know what you've got to come as well.
Yeah, exactly. It is, almost just having someone that's got that experience and kind of knows. Fortunately, where she goes to doggy daycare, they've got 4 mini Dachshunds themselves. So, so it's great. Like they're familiar with the breed, and there's lots of other Dachshunds there actually, because it's for small dogs. So it works well. She's not going to go there loads, but just enough to kind of have that option should I ever need it.
Yeah, and you may find that if she's spending time with other Dachshunds, that she may end up finding her voice a little bit, because other Dachshunds, well, we know what Dachshunds sound like. And daycare is often a place where they can just be as loud and as noisy and as either quiet or as boisterous as they choose to be with one another. But generally speaking, they have quite a good time at daycares.
Yeah.
And they're normally exhausted when they come back, because they're like,
yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you very much, Katie.
No, you're absolutely more than welcome. And obviously the reason that you ended up with the call was because you sent us your videos. You were progressing. We could see you were progressing, and you were there. You were asking the questions, and that's that's why owners get the one-to-one with me. Not owners that aren't going to turn up and then expect something at the end of it. You could see Dottie from the start. She was progressing very nicely, and obviously you were putting the work in to get that progression as well. Despite working full time. So and that's one of the reasons that we kind of picked you as the one-to-one winner.
No, that's great. Thank you ever so much. It was a surprise, actually.
Yeah,
because because I'd been away for a few days and I'd asked my sister to make sure she logs on for me. She forgot, and then we were late, and then obviously Dottie hasn't seen me for a little while. So yeah, it was. Well, I was a bit surprised, to be honest, but yeah, it was really nice. So thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
To be honest, we've both really, well, me and Dottie have really benefited from your classes, and we'll still follow you on Facebook. So yeah, it is really good.
Yeah, you're in the community, and obviously you can see with the older dogs. I mean, what I would say is the downside with the community is that I don't obviously go into detail, because then it's not fair on people that are paying me for the services that I provide them with.
Yeah.
So there's always snippets on Facebook. There's never like a full, like with the separation stuff. I've given you all this, not you, but I've given all the separation stuff, but I've just not made that bridge between how do you do this and how do you do that.
Yeah, no, and I know that you're starting some classes around separation anxiety, aren't you?
Yeah, and in all honesty, I wouldn't necessarily be taking a pup as young as Dottie, especially because she's not been left. They are more geared towards the older ones that are actually having problems, so to speak. So although it would be preventative, it wouldn't necessarily be much more than what I've actually gone through with you today.
No, that's useful, because I was going to email you, and then I thought, well, actually, I don't even know whether she's got that. It's not that, it's just that she's never had to be on her own. So yeah, it's good to have that conversation.
Yeah, and it's good to practice the steps pre anything happening as well. So you've kind of got you've got a heads up on any separation that's going to happen, because you're going to look at doing the independence stuff, and it's likely she's not going to be bothered. She'll just be like, oh yeah, you're just leaving me today, bye then.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
By the time that she's got to that sort of 10 minutes, and then once she's at that 10 minutes, generally speaking, is not too bad from there, because then you can start doing exits and stuff like that. But most of separation training is about being with them before we leave them.
Yeah, okay. I'll go back and revisit like the mat stuff again and get that out, and then start doing what you said. So hopefully it will all work. I'll keep you posted, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely, keep me posted. What I'll do is I'll send over this recording to you anyway, so you've got it.
So great, thank you.
You can see what's been said, and you don't have to like take any notes and stuff like that. And I'll drop do you want the math stuff on there as well? Do you want me to attach that for you?
Yeah, that would be really helpful. Yeah, that would be great. It means that I won't have any excuse not to go to the gym though, when I can leave her on her own, because at the moment I've got a good excuse.
And we'll always find an excuse where we can.
No, we will, won't we?
Can't leave my puppy on their own because I can't come to the gym. Well, you could always have a gym in your own house. You could always do Joe Wicks on your YouTube channel or something.
Yeah, I have been doing that. I have done that a little bit, but it seems to have worn off over the last few weeks.
I think it gets a bit boring after a while, doesn't it? It's a bit too energetic for me. No, that's fine. I'll get that over. I've got another document as well, which is the relaxation, which is the standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down.
Okay, yeah, that would be really helpful.
Have that one as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah, that is what it is, and you kind of have to read a bit between the lines, but once you kind of get there and you think
it all makes sense, because she does follow me around. So like you say, as soon as she knows that actually I'm not doing anything exciting, then
because often when you walk around the house, it might be that you're going to put your shoes on, put your coat on, and then might be getting her lead or whatever it is, and maybe the only times that you go out is when the only time you go out the front door is when she's going with you and there's going to be an adventure. So when you then leave her in your place with the door shut, she's thinking, oh well, you've left me, you've not taken me on the adventure. And that can sometimes cause that yipping, so to speak.
All makes sense.
Okie dokes. Right,
you better go before I'm in the dark. Sorry,
I know you're disappearing. You're slowly disappearing. I'll send them all over to you. It's been lovely catching up with you.
You too.
Keep me posted. And I'll get this over to you. It'll be tomorrow now because of the recording. I'm dropping down.
No problem at all. There's no hurry on it. So that's great. Thank you ever so much. Take care.
No worries. You as well. Speak soon.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.